Hey everyone, today we are going to make a batch of goat milk soap together here in our soap kitchen using the process that we use here at Big Red Barn. Specifically making our goat milk soap with the goat milk that we have frozen in advance. I'm going to show you exactly how we do it, and the recipe that we're going to use today is in the description. So you can click that link, print it off, and join me in the process. So let's make some goat milk soap. When I was first learning to make soap, I started where I think most people start. I started with what I considered normal soap, with distilled water and lye and all of those processes. Thinking about venting the goat fumes. Oh my goodness, venting the lye fumes, and all of the safety and all of those things that are swirling around in your head. I started in that same spot, and I realized very quickly that what I consider the typical process was very cumbersome. I had all kinds of pans and like with ice to try to get the lye to cool down, and I had a pan outside and other things. It was just a very involved process that was cumbersome, is really the word that describes it best to me. I knew I had to find a better option, especially because we had the goats, we had the goat milk, and I wanted to find a way to get that goat milk into our product in a way that wasn't just hard and heavy. So I started doing some research, and I found this process where you start with frozen goat milk. This is goat milk that we got from our goats in the barn. We bring it in, we freeze it just as it is in ice cube trays, and then store it in these gallon baggies for more long-term storage. This is a really handy way to have a lot of goat milk around and ready to use just by putting it in the baggie. I need to put this back in the freezer so it doesn't melt on me while we're talking here. So that's the goal. That's what we want to have as we're starting this process. Having the goat milk frozen keeps the temperature of the lye reaction down. It eliminates any fumes and just makes the process a whole lot easier. Now, if you do not have goats, you can find goat milk in grocery stores pretty easily. Look in the dairy case of your grocery store, but look like high and to the left or high and to the right. Usually we spend our time kind of right in the middle, finding whatever we need. But the exotic milks or the other kind of milks are generally up in the corner. So look in one corner or the other. If you're in the spot where they have almond milk and, oh, what are even all the other kinds? I can't even think right now. But the other kinds of milk like that, that's where you're going to find the goat milk. By us, Walmart carries it. So it really isn't that exotic. It isn't that hard to find anymore. If you have goats and you've got your own milk, if you have access to someone else's raw milk, or if you can find liquid milk in the store, you're good. All you have to do is put that in an ice cube tray and freeze it, and you've got what you need. If that's harder to find for you and you're going to use powdered milk or canned milk, both of those are fine as well, but you need to reconstitute them and then freeze it. With the powdered milk, you're going to need to look on the package that you got it from. However it says to reconstitute that milk to use it, do that, make it look like milk, and then freeze it in the ice cube tray. If you've got canned milk, that's evaporated, so it's a 1-to-1 reconstitution, meaning pour out the can of milk, I think it's about 12 ounces, fill the can with distilled water, pour that in, mix that together, and you can freeze that. Any of those ways are acceptable to make your goat milk and then get it frozen. You're going to want to do this the night before you're doing your soap making, because it takes the milk a little bit longer than you think to really get frozen hard, and you want to make sure it's solidly frozen before you start the process. So let's go ahead and get going. I have my goat milk here measured already. I'm ready to go in my little pitcher here. And the next step is to pour the lye on top of the goat milk cubes. So that means I need to get all the safety stuff on. Be sure that you've got all your safety garb in place. You're going to want good sturdy gloves, long sleeves if you prefer. An apron is helpful to protect whatever you're wearing. Make sure you've got the goggles. It's a very easy thing to do. to help keep you from getting a lye splatter in your eye. Those are no joke, so don't skip that step. And then I'm going to put this dust mask on just while I'm pouring the lye. While it's in a powdered form, I don't want to inhale any of it. So just for this couple moments, dust mask in place. Okay, so be sure to tear the scale. And if it makes you more comfortable to measure this into a different container to make sure you've got it exact and you can put some back if you overshoot, that's okay. For speed and for our video here, I'm just going to pour it right into the cubes. Do watch for any lye chunks though if you're doing it this way. You don't want to have a lye chunk come out and then make your weight go too high. All right. There we've got that. And now that can leave. Okay, so this part of the process might be new to you. It might be look a little different. I have a little chunk of something that I don't want in my soap. Give me just a second. We're going to get that out. Just a little flake of something I didn't want to have in there. Now, what's happening here is that the lye when it gets wet is an exothermic reaction. That means it gives off heat. And if you have done this with water, it gives off quite a lot of heat. If you try to do this with liquid milk, it will give off enough heat that it will scorch the milk. Scorched milk is a nasty orange color. Doesn't smell very good. It really isn't great for soap making. So with the frozen milk, the lye is melting the cubes. The cubes are keeping the temperature of the lye reaction down. So we have kind of a double win here. In the end, this will end up at about 85 or 90 degrees. And that is really close to the temperature we're going to need for ideal soap making. Okay, this is coming along well. I can just leave it now. I'm going to set it to the side and measure our oils while we are waiting for that. Okay, we're going to start off with olive oil in the bucket here. I like this yellow olive oil, but for whatever reason lately, it's been harder to find. Oh, I'm going to be okay. I didn't think I would have enough. I thought I'd have to substitute or just use some green in there too, some of the extra virgin, but I'm good. All right, so there's our olive oil. The other two oils we're going to use in our recipe today are coconut and palm, and I have those melting on the stove behind me here. Get my little lid on here. This pan is just a great option for melting the coconut and palm oil. Oops, I need to tear my scale. There we go. And I like the little top strainer. I think it's actually for spaghetti noodles or something, but it helps me be able to pour the oil without it dribbling down the side of the pan. Nice slow pour. There we go. Now the palm oil. If it makes you nervous to pour the oils all into one bucket, you can absolutely pour them into different containers and then combine them all at the end. And just make sure you scrape out each container very thoroughly to make sure you get the benefit of all the oil and you haven't left any behind. Now, let's talk about temperatures for just a minute. Because if you've been involved in other kinds of soap making, that lye water would be super hot. We'd have to wait for it to cool down so that we've got all of our soap ingredients in that ideal temperature. Our ideal temperature for making soap, we want the batter to be between 100 and 120. And 120 is kind of that's your mark. You're aiming for that. But between 100 and 120 is okay. Because our lye is not going to be above 100 degrees. Remember this in the bowl here, it's going to end up between 85 and 90. We actually need to heat it up. We need to give it a little bit more heat so that the saponification reaction has enough heat to get all this stuff combined. So we actually need to add some heat for the milk. So our olive oil was room temperature. I poured it right out of the bottle. The coconut and palm oil we're at 180 on the stove. Now that might seem really high if you've done other kinds of soap making, but remember, we need to raise the temperature of the olive oil and raise the temperature of the goat milk and lye so that in the end, everything, the combination is between 100 and 120. So I've got my oils here. Let's go ahead and finish out the goat milk here. It really does move along quickly unless you're on camera, and then it takes forever. But for the most part, this is moving along nicely. Mixing lye into milk it's a little bit more of a struggle than mixing it into water. In water, it goes clear, and you can tell if there's any chunks or anything left on the bottom. You know if it needs a little bit more stirring. With milk, milk is an opaque substance. So you have to kind of use your spoon as an extension of your arm to feel along the bottom of your bowl and to make sure there's nothing down there, there's nothing stuck, nothing gritty. Just kind of feel along the bottom, and if it's nice and smooth, you're in good shape. The lye mixes very well into the milk, and I found that about the time that all the cubes are melted, the lye is also dissolved, and we're in good shape. Just needs a little bit more stirring here till we get to that point. You do want to make sure all the cubes are completely thawed before you put it in with your oil so that you're ready to blend this all together. If this process is new and you have questions, please be sure to comment those below this video. I would love to converse with you there about this process. Also, if you have things about soap making in general or about our process specifically that you would like us to address in a video, I would love to know that as well. We're kind of an open book here. We're more than happy to share anything that can help you in your soap making. We're super close. Like I said, it knows when I'm on camera, and then it takes forever. Today we're going to make unscented, uncolored soap. This is the simplest process I could think of for you guys, so that you would be able to give this a try and just practice making goat milk soap. It will also give you a product that is, it's just exclusively goat milk soap with no fragrances or colors or anything else, so that as you try your soap, you'll have a really good test as to how this soap compares to any other soaps you may have made. All right, we are in really good shape here. It's all melted. It's all nice and smooth. I don't feel anything stuck on the bottom. So I think we are ready to go with combining these two. All right, so now, easy pour. Anytime you're working with lye, just go nice and slow. There's no rush here. There is no reason to risk having a splash or anything else. Just go nice and slow. We're not in a rush. Okay, so now I'm going to start stick blending, and I want you to watch the oils and the milk. And this isn't unique to this process. This is just soap making. But as we start stick blending, the oils are going to be really active, and then they just kind of settle down. And when that happens, I stick blend just a little bit more, and that's called thin trace. And later on, if you want to add scent or color, you'll want to stop stick blending right there and do your scented color at that point. So here we go. Move up and down and around. tell even right now, that reaction is happening. It has just started, like it's not slushy anymore like the oil was at the beginning. It's when I bring the stick blender up a bit, it's not whipping around like the oil was to begin with. So we've already got that saponification going on. I'm going to just go around one more time, moving up and down and around. All right. And now I would stop here, maybe even a little before that, but stop there. If you're going to do anything with scent and colorant, that is a great place to stop. Divide it, color it, scent it, whatever you'd like to do. I'm going to stick blend just a little bit more here, so it's ready to pour into our mold. Full trace is when you can pull the stick blender out and you can see like the drips and trailings on the top of the soap. That's full trace. I'm almost there. There we go. There we go. It's not quite to looking like Cool Whip. A little bit before that, but kind of like pudding. When you have the powdered pudding and you put it in the milk and it thickens gradually as it kind of behaves like that. Okay, so I'm going to start just a little bit with my spatula here. I have some bubbles from the stick blender. Just want to work those out. So we have a nice smooth bar later on. Okay, there we go. And now I'm just going to do some careful pouring with my bucket here. I'm putting it into my mold here to make these square bars. And again, just a nice slow pour. You can do a lot that way. Fill the mold up to the top, but not overshooting. Now, the trick with these kinds of molds is that they're really hard to move after you have the soap in there. So this mold will need to just stay on the counter until everything's firmed up and it's a little easier to move. These molds are nice. You don't need to cut the soap after the fact. You can just pop them out and you have them ready to go. All right. A little bit of scraping here needed. We don't want to waste any of the batter. And plus that'll help finish off that last bar that wasn't quite full. All right. So here are almost 8 bars of goat milk soap. Like you can see, the process is super simple. It's very easy to get the oils, get the milk and the lye ready to go, put them together, and you've got your soap ready to go. So this is the process that we use for all of the soaps that we make here at Big Red Barn. And again, it's just very easy to do, and also the cleanup isn't too bad either. Just a couple of dishes and we're ready to go. No matter what kind of mold you're using, the soaps will need to stay in the mold for a day or 2. This mold will be very easy to unmold. We'll just pop the soaps out and they're good to go. If you're working in a mold that has an open top, like a loaf mold, again, leave it in there for a day or 2, pop the whole loaf out, and then you can cut your bars, however you decide to do that. And the bars will need to sit and cure for 6 weeks. This allows the saponification reaction, the reaction between the oils and the lye to complete in the first week and gives them 5 weeks of drying time, which you're going to want to do all of that so that the bars will be nice and hard and will last a long time in wet environments like the shower. So this is, again, the process we use. We will cut it, it'll sit on our drying racks for 6 weeks, and then it will be ready to go, whether we're using it as gifts or whether we're selling it, whatever we're doing with it, it'll be a nice firm bar of goat milk soap. In our next video, we're going to talk specifically about the words small batch soap making. This is what we've done here, and I'm sure all of you who are making soap are doing this at home as well. But we're going to talk about what does this say about your product and why you should absolutely make sure that everyone who's using your soaps knows that you are making your soaps in small batches. So I'll see you there.